10 chickens. We're safe. Good day, folks. Things are starting to get extremely out of control in our nursery room here. I've set up our second high intensity lamp here. It's a high pressure sodium, 250 watt. More on the red spectrum, the warmer light spectrum. The metal halides on the cooler or the bluer spectrum. I just set this up today. Plants haven't been under it for more than an hour. What I'm going to end up having to do is rotating the plants on this table so that they're getting the full spectrum of light. The red spectrum generally is used more for flowering, fruiting, things like that. The blue more for vegetative growth. Combination of the two I've done before for vegetative growth like this, and I haven't noticed any harm to the plants. No stretching. Sometimes if you're only in the red spectrum, you'll see the plants stretch out a little bit more. So we might as well have a peek at what's going on in here. A bunch of this stuff needs to be transplanted into larger pots. I'm going to start moving some of these plants out into the greenhouse by day, bringing them back inside at night when it gets cooler, because I need more room in here, and I'd rather not set up any more lights than what I have running. We've got the greenhouse, the sun shines every day, the greenhouse warms up, might as well start using that. It'll be a little bit of work for me, but that's okay. I'm willing to do that. I'm here on the homestead all day, every day anyways. Sometimes I drive off to get mail, but that's really about it. On the table, currently, we've got our lettuce here. This had been living in the window for quite a while, and we get 2 or 3 salads a week out of it. I just moved it in here a few days ago just to give it a little bit extra light. Started to get a little cloudy outside, so it wasn't getting too much light. Pepper plants. These are the ones that we topped last week. You can see they're starting to branch now. Basil that I topped off yesterday, so we now have a whole whack load of fresh basil. In the back is just a sweet potato. More peppers. You can see the light color change as the camera moves there. That's the spectrum of the two lights. Lots of branching starting with these plants. And then over here is the kale, which is getting quite spindly. Partly because we have been eating it, and partly because it just wants more light. So this is one of the plants that will be going outside. I'm going to put these into some much larger pots out in the greenhouse and bring them in and out until it's warm enough at night. These 4 flats are what have been living under the LED strip lights on the wire shelving unit on the wall. These are the strawberry seedlings, which are doing great. I am not sure how much longer I can leave these in these cells. There's 72 cells in this tray. The plants are getting pretty big, but transplanting them out means more space, and that would be 4 flats of 4-inch pots for this stuff. So I'll have to make a decision within the next few days here. This flat, we have more pepper plants, a whole bunch of tomato plants. All of these need to be transplanted today into 4-inch pots. Celery, this is the early harvest celery that I planted. We'll be starting more of these seeds maybe today, if not, definitely sometime this week. Onions that were mass planted. These onions are from plants that we had last year. We had a few plants go to flower. We let them finish up, and we harvested the seeds last year, let them dry over the winter. Doesn't look too bad. I've been chopping them back as needed, just so I don't have to have the lights raised up too far from the celery. Over here we have Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, various brassicas like that. And these also are getting transplanted today, and they will be another part of what is living out in the greenhouse that I will be bringing in and out each day. So I think we'll start out in the greenhouse with, first off, transplanting the kale into the larger pots. I think this stuff here I will transplant in here because they'll just be going back into trays, 4-inch pots in trays, and move that way. So let's head out to the greenhouse. So what have we got here? 2 degrees Celsius outside. 13.2 degrees Celsius in the greenhouse. So it definitely stays warm in the greenhouse, even on an overcast day like today. It's the first day of spring today. Doesn't really necessarily look like it. Oh, check this out. Right up in the sky here. Bald eagle coming by. I'm going to have to pay attention because the chickens are out right now. And that thing has been circling this area for the last few days. So, kind of worries me a little bit. But anyways, first day of spring. Snowing very lightly. It's warm though. No wind, which is really nice. It's so quiet. Nice and quiet. We better get to transplanting this kale though. Okay, so really quickly here. Bucket of perlite. Mixture of peat moss and just topsoil, black earth sort of thing. Some of last year's compost that's been screened. Put about half of that in. Half of that. Half of that. So you can see these guys are getting kind of spindly. But that's partially because we've been eating them, which makes sense. That's why we grow them. This first variety is Siberian kale. And I am going to overload these pots a little because they will only be in here until the stuff in the garden starts producing, which won't be too long from now. This variety is black kale. Much denser leaves on it. Really nice for stir fries, things like that. Okay. There's the kale potted up. Might be a good idea just to go count the chickens. Like I said, that eagle has been hanging around here the last few days. And the chickens have been outside all day, every day the last few days. And that could very well be why. Could be why he's hanging around here, waiting for an easy meal. Ten chickens. We're safe. Okay, we're back inside now. So we're going to start just with what we know for sure we're transplanting today. Not the strawberries today. We'll do the tomatoes. I think I can get another couple of days out of these peppers in that little tray. Won't be doing these. But we will be doing all of the brassicas. Going with the same ProMix mixture that we've been using. We don't need to screen this one though. And starting with Pomodoro Aroma tomatoes for sauce. Roots. A little bit late transplanting these guys, but what can you do? This next strain, variety, black tomatoes. A little bit of a story behind these ones. We were visiting Amanda's aunt and uncle in New Brunswick. They had these black tomatoes growing in their garden, which were really interesting. So we had her aunt Joyce save some of the seeds, and she brought them back for us. This is our second year. Yeah, our second year growing these. They're really tasty. The flesh is really, really dark purple, or the skin, sorry. The flesh is red just like any other tomato. Really, really sweet tomato. Nice for sandwiches. We made a bunch of pizza sauce. With any luck, these guys don't have to be in these smaller pots for too long. They're pretty cold hardy, so I'm hoping that we can get these guys into the garden really quickly. And if we have to, we'll cover them with some plastic, protect them from the frost. What are we starting with? Cauliflower. If you weren't sure what I meant by things are getting out of control in here earlier, this is kind of what I meant. This is only part of what needs to be transplanted, because everything up here is next, within the next week. Those two, they're fine. Everything down here needs to be watered in. I don't think I'm going to put the cabbage and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, all that stuff out into the greenhouse today, because I would have to bring it back in probably about an hour. It'll definitely be going out there tomorrow though. So now comes the watering. Actually, first there's something else that I wanted to show you. At one point in time, all of these jars, well, most of them anyways, were filled with food. We're down to this. Our supplies are dwindling. It's a sad thing. We need to be more prepared next year. It's a beautiful sight when all these jars are filled up. We still have all of our homemade apple cider vinegar, which is very tasty stuff. We use it for all kinds of things. The chickens get about a quarter cup in their feeder, or sorry, their water every day. So that, and then we also are running low on our other frozen blanched goods. Beans, peas, cauliflower. This is it. That's all we have left. We do have fish. That's always a nice thing to have. But this is why we are in a rush to get our food out into the greenhouse, growing for us. Empty shelves. Well, that about wraps things up for today. As I like to do every now and again, wanted to point you in the direction of a couple of other channels. One of them is CB's Garden and Greenhouse. He has got some really neat stuff going on. In particular, some straw bale growing that I'm going to experiment with this year. So I will link to that channel in the description. The other one, Farmer G. He has a very cool aquaponics system that he just built. Just put the video up today. That's all I'm going to say about it. I will also put that channel in the description. Check them out. Both very cool channels. See ya!